And the change is essentially going from the industrial age, Isaac Newton, clockwork, predictable, the machine is a model for reality, to sort of an Einstein, Niels Bohr, anybody's guess, very complex, everything's unpredictable. And that changes what learning's all about. Often I'd go through some of the things that lead up to this, like, the denser the connections in a network, the faster it cycles. But instead of that, since we've had some wonderful presentations, I'll just say what they said as far as, where we are now. The internet has changed everything. And, well, I'll go quick on this, but I put all my stuff online, so this will be available later. But, we went from nodes to hierarchies, and now we're in this crazy world where we're sort of one step into the next phase, but one step in the past, and it feels very uncomfortable, especially when somebody who's still in the hierarchical world says, "Why are you taking control away from me? I didn't do anything wrong." And, the way I look at it is that everything flows. Everything's beta. I think people fool themselves. Business people have thought for a long time that they could control their workers. Ha 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 ha. No way. Maybe a little influence. And there have been other changes too. In this period of 20 years, from the 80s to the turn of the century, the value of corporations went from being mainly stuff, assets, trucks, warehouses, land, money in the bank, to intangibles. And now it's approaching 80% intangibles. That's social capital, that's patents, that's relationships, that's know-how. There is a choice. Do I want to have these people all knowledgeable before they go out, or do I want to have a network that they can work on? Do I really want to go to a subject matter expert, or would I prefer to go to a subject matter network? Because the bottom line, and business is finally waking up to this, is that we're after competence and performance, not pushing a curriculum. The life of the town. And I realized that I was looking at nothing but learning going on. So, grandmother is telling story to grandson. A guy is cooking tacos, is showing somebody else how to cook tacos. People are selling souvenirs. Boys are playing games and, kicking rocks around, and the girls are sewing. So you can look at a process of learning from many different perspectives. And I think of it, it's as if I had some special telescopes and I can look at what's going on as a psychologist would, or as an anthropologist would, or as a sociologist would, or as a learning designer would. And that opens up different perspectives on how to optimize the learning that's going on. And since I'm a business guy, I wrote this up with Clark Quinn and Chief Learning Officer magazine, and convinced them to let me do a mailing to their subscriber base, and took a survey. Because I have purported for a long time that if chief learning officers don't start doing something differently, they are going to be out of a job. Here's why. If you look at the total opportunity space for changing behavior in an organization, about 10% of it is attributable to learning. The rest is job descriptions and pay and ability to find information, stuff like that. But 80% of the learning in corporations is informal. I mean, you learn by watching other people. You learn by trying something that doesn't work. So really the only part that we're dealing with is 20% of 10%, 2%. But if you read study after study, go to a corporate workshop, people only retain about 15% of what they hear. because, there's a forgetting curve and it drops off. So if we go 15%, let's say that they're really good, and then they're going to end up with a situation like this, where they're dealing with 0.3% of the opportunity for changing behavior. Well, I'll tell you, I don't know any executive who's going to waste 10 minutes on something that is so inconsequential. I mean, chief learning officers say, well, we deserve a seat at the table. Well, I don't think they do if they're just working on sort of workshops and stuff like that. I counsel them that for job enrichment, let's get back into the organization, start doing things. Let's recruit everybody to be both a teacher and a student. Why not? Because I think of business as being an ecology. Training, which learned a lot of bad things from schooling, but training used to be just a privilege for employees. But the way business is going now, it's not just employees. I mean, Cisco doesn't make anything, for instance. They sort of outsource that. And everybody's outsourcing everything. And they've got temps, and they've got partners who are distributing things and explaining it to us. So you'd think that it would be important to at least offer some opportunity for all these other people to learn. Do they do it? Well, by and large, no. 2/3 of them don't deal with customer learning at all, in spite of the fact that products are increasingly complex. About the same number never deal with their partners and their suppliers. And now, increasingly, the training and the job are starting to merge. But because we're in a knowledge economy, I foresee a time when learning and work are indistinguishable from one another. I mean, the job is going to be learning. This is essentially what we've been talking about. The need to know goes to need to share. From curriculum to just being able to do it. From clockwork, everything predictable, to, hey, surprise, don't know what's coming next. Clock time replaced by time it takes to accomplish something. And worker-centered